Recording. Alrighty. So, hi y'all. My name is Mia, and we have here with us Miguel Escoto. And yeah, he's a huge part of the environmental social activism scene here in El Paso. And we're both heavily involved in Sunrise El Paso. And yeah, he's lived a very interesting life, especially within community organizing. And I think everyone would benefit from hearing his story and what he's experienced throughout the city. So yeah, um, so the first question I have for you, Miguel, is to basically just describe yeah, who you are, your age, ethnicity, yeah, things that can help us better understand yeah, who you are as a person.
Awesome. Thank you, Mien. Very honored that you asked me. So I'm 25 years old. I'm at the awkward cusp of Gen Z and millennial. That's how I feel. I grew up, most of my childhood was in Ciudad Juarez. But I, like many other people here in this community, I was I lived and still do have a big part of my life on both sides of the border. Um, my my family still has very deep roots in Juarez, and northern Mexico in general. My mom is from Culiacan, Sinaloa. My dad from
Oh,
from 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 here. And yeah, that that's like the border raised me. I feel this um like weird anger at the fence and all of like the militarism behind the border and what separated both really important communities. And that's what led into my activism in general, which eventually led to a huge focus on climate activism specifically.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, so speaking of your activism, would you be willing to go into the origins of like Sunrise and how you came to join as well?
Yes, absolutely. So sunrise movement in it as a whole is this phenomena that started in around 2018 is when it became really big throughout the country. The new idea, the idea that was popularized was that the climate struggle um, didn't have to this fight for the climate didn't have to sacrifice jobs and other forms of social justice like immigration justice, um, war, ending wars, reproductive health care, etc. Right? That was the promise of this new movement, um, that was that coalesced around this idea of a Green New Deal,
Hmm.
that we could, like I said, transition to renewable energy, but it wasn't the end all be all. That at the same time we changed other forms of injustice in our society, and that you could do both together. Because for a long time, the popular understanding of climate activism was that it was at the expense of our job security,
Hmm.
at the expense of the economy, at the expense of all these other movements. But yeah, Sunrise, as a national movement became um, very popular around that time, 2018, especially when they did an action at Nancy Pelosi's office. They did a sit-in there, which was also pretty new because it was a youth-led movement that was protesting against the Democratic Party itself for not doing enough, right? So it was youth-led. It was asking for the adults in the room to push for more, and this idea of a Green New Deal. So the way that worked is that communities could start their own hub anywhere throughout the country. And so around 2019, myself and others felt it would be very powerful to start a hub here in El Paso. And one of our first actions was a climate strike back in September of 2019. It was a Friday where we asked people to miss school or work so that you can make a statement that this is important. And yeah, from there, we've done a lot, including fighting back JP Morgan Chase Bank, their interests in buying out our electric utility so that they could profit off of it more. We also to privatize it more and to use our grid and our need for energy as a profit tool, which we were very against, especially from this idea that we should have control over our electricity, because control over our energy means control over what type of energy source we use. Do we use fracking? Do we use coal or renewable energy, as we advocate for? And yeah, fast forward to now, we are in the middle of a intense but exciting climate charter ballot initiative campaign.
We are indeed. And yeah, so would you mind talking a little bit about the climate charter, just so like folks who aren't familiar with it can know what we're talking about?
Right. So the idea behind this climate charter was taking what we had learned as an organization and as a movement to create a city government that sided with the people instead of with fossil fuel corporations locally. That was the whole intent behind it. And we wanted to create a yes campaign instead of a no campaign, a yes campaign in terms of us building towards something new, instead of just fighting back a gas plant or fighting back a JP Morgan Chase buyout. And so that led us to create a new, first of its kind policy that would transform our city government through the creation of a climate department that would have really important goals, like reducing the amount of pollution and fossil fuel usage, increasing the amount of renewable energy usage, conserving our water, and beginning the process of municipalizing our electric utility, which means us as a community having more control over the decisions of this electric utility.
Right.
And it was, right now we're in the stage of this new policy proposal being actually on the ballot. Voters can decide yes or no on Proposition K, the climate charter Proposition K.
Vote
For Prop K. I mean, our city can vote for this directly, which is a really awesome opportunity. And we also had to work to get towards that, because the state requires a large percentage, a large number of signatures, petition signatures, asking for something to be placed on the ballot. And we had to get almost 40,000 signatures last year to make that happen. So this campaign is years long in the making, and the only reason we're here in the first place is because of broad popular support to begin with.
Yeah, I love that. And honestly, I know that I've been in Sunrise for a while, but I just want to like give kudos to y'all because that's hard. Like gathering 40,000 signatures.
Oh
Like
yes. Oh yes, yes.
yeah,
It was very difficult, very difficult. But
did
at the
it.
same time, it was very popular. It's a very popular
And as it
program.
should be, we deserve the climate
Exactly.
charter. We deserve protections. We deserve a walkable city. We deserve clean air, clean water.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that. And can we talk a little bit about the disinformation and like the harmful impacts it has on our community?
Yeah, like in general about this campaign, about the
Yeah, just
proposition,
like in general.
or okay. Right. So, I mean, what's happening right now with Proposition K is that the institutions, the corporations that we're trying to hold accountable, like the El Paso Electric utility that has three major polluting gas plants, and including Marathon Petroleum that has a massive refinery polluting us every day.
Hmm.
The people that we are aiming to hold accountable, they're fighting back to, as we should expect, right? They want to protect their profits.
Hmm.
They these institutions are, money making machines. Yes, they do have a service that they provide, but they make money off of it. They make up millions and millions and millions of dollars every year. So they're very interested in protecting their profit. So they've launched a really nasty and horrible disinformation campaign, attacking this charter, not directly through its merits, but creating lies about it, creating a distorted version of the charter and attacking it that way. For example, saying that it's going to require homeowners to replace their gas stoves. That's a lie. That's just a lie. It's not in the climate charter, but they want to scare people
Mm.
into taking bold climate action. So they use these tactics. Um, the gas stove issue is actually nothing new. The fossil fuel industry as a whole throughout the entire country is trying to fearmonger people into a transition using that talking point. Um, Secondly, they're saying that the charter would force people to replace their fossil fuel cars with electric vehicles, which is also not true. But again, they're taking these talking points at a national level and trying to scare people
Hmm.
locally. And that's how they've operated basically since the 1970s. They lie about what they're doing
Mm.
to protect their profits. We know that ExxonMobil had studies about the effects of greenhouse gas emissions on the climate in the world as far back as the 1970s. They knew about this for decades ago, but they have to lie in order to protect their profits.
Yep.
So it really is like a very local manifestation of how this industry operates
Mhm.
on a global stage. But I think that I hope, and we're really organizing towards um, people being educated and making decisions for themselves
Mhm.
and choosing hope, choosing listening to the side of them that wants to take bold climate action. Because one of the things that they're saying that is true is that this is a bold policy. That is true. We're really wanting to create a bold um, transformation because
And that's
that's what
what
we
we
need.
need. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's getting pretty rough out there, and bold climate action is really the only answer.
Mhm.
Literally, like, what else can we do
Exactly.
besides that? And yeah, I
Exactly.
definitely think education is the way to liberate folks, because if you can't control them and fearmonger them, then they can choose to fight against it and
Exactly.
eventually overrule that. I appreciate
All
that.
right.
Yeah, and
So
just
visit
oh yes,
www.elpasoclimate.org, our website. Everything
www.elpaso.org. Got it, got it.
elpasoclimate.org.
elpasoclimate.org. I'll definitely be like putting the little link on there. But yeah, for the closing statements, I have two questions for you. First, why is it important to get involved within your community, like community organizing and activism? And
Mhm.
also, if you could broadcast a message to the general public, what would you say?
It is important because it's important to do community organizing because it is a form of taking control over your material surroundings. And a lot of times politics feels very distant from your home, from your neighborhood, from your city. A lot of people think uh, political engagement is just voting for president every 4 years, and that's very far away and at in Washington D.C. and it feels indirect.
Mhm.
But I think it's very important to do local community organizing because it can directly improve your situation, your material um, conditions immediately. Like that for all of the all of the generations of environmental activists here in El Paso have fought back against polluting industries like the Asarco plant um, successfully. And because of that, we have cleaner air. It's not 100% clean. We're still the 12th worst polluted city in the country when it comes to ozone, but
Mhm.
it's improving your situation, your conditions right now. And that's what it should really be about. It shouldn't be a form of like charity. It's a form of you having control and exercising um,
That right.
collective power,
Mm,
improve your situation.
definitely, I definitely agree. Um, I personally, I know that I recently joined Sunrise, and I had never like really canvassed or like talked directly with like a lot of community members. So
Mhm.
doing that and like discussing their experiences with like pollution, emissions, and the environment, all that stuff, it really like opened my eyes, like, and humanized
Yeah,
these aspects and made me like yeah, more connected to these issues and not in not in a detached way as like most people view like politics and
exactly.
yeah, all that stuff. So I appreciate what you said. And yeah, just for the last question, if you could broadcast a message to the general public, what would you say?
I would say that um, the um, even though a lot of very horrible things are happening in the world, in our border, my message would be that winning is possible, that we could see it within our lifetime, that all these horrible oppressive systems that we're living under, they are not permanent. We could we could win. And the first step, one of the most powerful and threatening things you can do is to believe that we can win.
Very true. Perfect way of saying it. Well, thank you so much. And if you want to plug it, any of the websites, oh, and you also just had a film coming that came out that
Right.
you directed.
Yes. So that's yes, absolutely. Um, so as part of my job at Earthworks. I am the Texas lead organizer there. Earthworks is a nonprofit environmental organization. I have part of what we do is document emissions from the oil fields of the Permian Basin, and we created a short film to communicate to the public what that is. You can go to YouTube and look up "Uncovering the Permian Climate Bomb," and our video is right there. It's a quick 13 minutes. Really recommend, so you can get a good picture of what's happening in the region. And it should pop up on YouTube there, "Uncovering the Permian Climate Bomb." And there's that. The other thing, then I'll plug things for the Climate Charter campaign happening right now. The vote is for May 6th. And we're trying to mobilize as many voters as we can between now and then. You can check out our website, www.elpasoclimate.org, and you'll find everything there. We have a lot of, check out through the tabs. We have a lot of information and content there. You could also follow us at Sunrise El Paso on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being here. We appreciate you, and I hope everyone enjoyed this conversation. I know there's a lot of valuable information. And yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I can stop the